Good morning or good day, everybody. Everybody's on different time zones. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump into our content for this month's call. I see Elena and Carla, you've both joined, so welcome to the event today. We're really happy to have you here. And I'm going to start with some kind of MSUA business. I have some topics here today that we'll cover, and I'm really looking for input from our MSUA members. So whether you're listening to this live right now or you listen to this as a recording, definitely feel free to respond back to us with feedback at marketing@msua.org on anything that we talk about today. We're going to start out talking about some really exciting news around the Pulse, which is something that we announced last time we spoke, which we haven't been together since July. So we have a lot to cover. And then we'll talk about our website upgrade that's coming up, some ideas that we have for some new member benefits, and then some of the regular things that we cover just as reminders to make sure you guys are taking advantage of all of the benefits of being an MSUA member. And then I'll talk about some of our upcoming topics. And then I'm going to pass the ball over to our special speaker today, who's going to be covering live casting, which of course is becoming more and more valuable now that it's difficult in a lot of places still to do live events. So like actual in-person events. So different kinds of live events. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into things here. So for all of you that might have missed the July call, we are starting a brand new MSUA webinar series that we're calling The Pulse. And we're really excited about this. We already have a couple of topics lined up. And you can kind of see here what I did was on the right side of this slide, I pasted in the page that's on our website. We put a brand new page on our website. It has all of the information that you could need about the Pulse, but I'll give you a little bit of overview here. So we are going to be doing a regular webinar series highlighting really trying to bring in that user perspective, so that business and user perspective. So we'll be working with our members to work on topics that are relevant, and then really identifying panelists that make sense for a given topic. So as an example, we have, you can see 5G future vision is one of our topics, next gen public safety, and then the autonomous edge. These are our sponsorship levels. Some of them are exclusive, some of them we would have multiple sponsors. So in any case, reach out if you have any questions or you're interested in becoming a sponsor and or having a webinar that we design around you. We'll be coming up with many different topics and suggesting them out to the team, and even proactively reaching out to the members to set up web seminars with all of you as members. So, and sponsorships are not mandatory, so they're just opportunities. Okay. And then the other thing that we're working on is an MSUA website refresh. And this is, I know this is kind of a crazy slide, but I wanted to highlight a couple of things in our website map. So we're just mapping this out now. I would say I'm really hopeful that we would go live with the new site as of the first of the year. So we kind of have this quarter to work on it. In any case, the one thing I really wanted to point out is that we're looking at putting together a member-focused page where it's all about our members. So right now there's a lot of information that you may not have the opportunity to share as a part of the MSUA website. So this is a place where we could really highlight a number of different things from all of our members. Things like if you want to link to your blog, if you want to link to any podcasts or webinars that you're running, any member news. So if you have press releases and things like that, we would post those there. Career listings, if you have job opportunities or career opportunities, we can put them there. So kind of really trying to elevate the members and your content as well, and links out to your sites and things like that. So really trying to elevate the members there. We'll be highlighting the Pulse, and the Pulse page, once we go live with the new web seminars, we will be embedding the videos of those events right there. And of course, highlighting any sponsors that are sponsoring the various shows and things like that. So that will also be pushed to the top of the site. And then the other thing that we're looking at doing is also really amplifying the innovation awards as well. So right now, this is kind of buried under, I think, the About section right now. So we're going to, again, kind of push that up to the top of the navigation for the site. So definitely, if you guys have thoughts about the site or things that you think would be really valuable to you as members, in sharing information with the MSUA members, as well as anyone that would visit the MSUA site, let us know. We'll be doing a lot of things in the coming year to kind of pump that up. And so we also have sort of, I thought I would just show this as an example, and this is really, this is really preliminary, but at least it'll give you an idea. This is the actual whole scroll. So if you see, the right side is the top of the page and the left side is the bottom of the page. But this kind of gives you an idea of where we're trying to go to just like modernize the site, make it easier to navigate to some of the key areas, and really highlight some of the key things that are coming up, and even upcoming programs, making it more obvious how you can join, things like that. So as always, feel free to send us feedback on where you would like to see the site go, and any kind of additional things that you think we could put into the site to make it even better. Any sort of comments before I move on?
Hey, Lisa, it's Jill. Just a quick question. Are you going to be reaching out to all of the members to get updated logos, boilerplate, that kind of thing? And then,
yes.
Okay. And then the second question is, like, if we do have like blog posts, do we just, when we have one, do we just email it to you and request that you post it on the blog page?
Yeah, you can do that. What I'm thinking we'll try to do is make it as automated as possible. So what we might do is just see, one, if we can hook up a feed, and if not, then maybe we just have the link directly to your blog. And if there's one that you want to highlight, maybe we can throw that up there. We'll just have to see kind of if we can automate it. That would be the ideal thing.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely make it more self-service.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna program that stuff in as much as we can, for sure. Okay. So another thing I wanted to cover, and this is really kind of an input opportunity for you guys, and I'm putting a lot of these things that are on the slide out there just as kind of food for thought, not as like we're definitely going to do all these things, but we're thinking about, what are other things that we can do to provide more benefits to our members in 2021. So looking at things like, the things that I've already talked about in terms of the website, so enhancing the member representation on the website itself, but also, would it be valuable to you to have discounts on research and special reports? We've talked about putting together some regular, maybe twice a year, MSUA sponsored studies. So one, it would be interesting to know, are there certain topics you'd be really interested in terms of getting feedback from the user community? or just, we'd really like your feedback on it. Do you see value in having that? Things like that. So that's another thing that we're considering and researching, looking into. We've also considered additional award opportunities throughout the year. So we have our annual innovation awards that happen every year around the satellite event, but we're looking at, maybe there's other considerations or other awards or similar types of programs that would make sense at other times of the year as well. So it's not just once a year, and they would be obviously different types of topics or awards or what have you. So another thing to consider. The other thing is we're looking at, can we put advertising opportunities on the website? So as we're redesigning the website, we're looking at adding advertising opportunities on the site. Also considering things like hosted collaboration roundtables between members and outside organizations, or just, member to member. We would, host different topics and have discussion groups. Custom market development guidance and maybe discounts on this. So working with experts in various topics. So I know a lot of our members are really interested in terrestrial, mobile, or cellular and hybrid networks and things like that, and getting more information in that area. So that's just one example of something that, hey, if somebody were to either, if they had a report and you wanted to get access to it, if we could offer some sort of a discount on getting access to that report, and or having them, having someone do a customized report on our members' behalf, and then offering a discount access on that as well. So something along those lines. And then I guess the end user collaboration sessions, kind of like the hosted collaboration would be more between members, and the end user one would be more with end users. And then I know we've offered event registration discounts to many different events, but we were thinking potentially looking at working things out with some other kind of related industries as well. So like maybe, telecom related or other interesting events, and would definitely like to get feedback from you guys on any events that you would be interested in us trying to work something out with the hosts. So these are all, this is kind of like a bunch of different ideas, because I didn't want to come to you and say, hey, what do you want? What other benefits do you want? But do you guys, for those of you that are on the call, have any feedback on any of these items? Like, are there any of them that stand out that you say, oh yeah, that would be something we would be interested in? Thoughts? None of them?
They all sound interesting, Lisa.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jill. Yeah, well, if you guys, again, after the call, if I'll be sending out the recording of this as well as the presentation. So if you have time to take a look at it and give feedback, we really, our ultimate goal is to make sure that we're providing the greatest level of value to our members. And so certainly, if any of these ideas, or you have other ideas, please feel free to reach out to me directly, or just hit us up at marketing@msua.org. And we really, really value your feedback. The other thing I just wanted to mention, I guess, again, is that if you do have any upcoming podcasts or webinars, we have been promoting these within the mobility news newsletter that goes out every week. So again, if you have anything coming up, let us know and we'll add it to the newsletter. Again, marketing@msua.org. And then just another plug for our regular mobility news interviews. Definitely take advantage of this. In fact, as we go into probably next year, we'll be looking at actually scheduling these out to make sure that all of our members get the opportunity to be highlighted in the mobility news and the executive interviews. So I guess, have that in mind, but certainly feel free to reach out if you would like to be proactive about making this happen. And just as kind of a reminder, we do have SAT News always pretty much without without a doubt covering those articles or reprinting those articles and sharing them out as well. So it gets very broad readership. Okay, upcoming meetings. So we have a lot of really exciting upcoming topics. Obviously this week we have our live casting topic, which I can't wait to introduce Chad for that. But we also have a customer advisory board session coming up next month in October. So that'll be Thursday, October 15th. And this is going to be a great session. I have a contact that I really respect, a speaker that I really respect coming in to share with us her insights and best practices around customer advisory boards. So anyway, put these on your calendar. We're going to move them all over to Zoom. So I'll be making sure to get out updated calendar requests, but go ahead and mark your calendars now. And then obviously we're even scheduling out into next year already. So put them on your calendar. And in the meantime, I'm going to, I probably can't stop sharing. So Chad, you have contact, you can switch over to your presentation. So with that, I want to introduce our special speaker for today, Chad Oda. And he is, an amazing expert on chatbots and voice technologies, as well as he's been doing a lot of live casting. So I wanted to have him come in and talk to us about some of the best practices, some of the really great tools that are available, and kind of how to make the most of any of your live casting events. So Chad, I'm going to pass the floor over to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. And, in the spirit of live streaming, anyone that's watching the stream right now or has any questions, feel free to interject as I sort of roll through these here. So the idea about this presentation here is to essentially allow me to provide some practical guidance when it comes to live streaming. We've essentially built up a content strategy and have been creating videos, live streams, podcasts, for our own brand, which is in the conversational AI space. So essentially, I'm providing you my experience for my own trial by fire. So I hope to provide sort of a business case for why you should use it, as well as some practical guidance for implementing some of these strategies here. So essentially, provided all of the prevailing circumstances of COVID-19 and how we've all moved and migrated online, how do you cut through the noise? How are you staying top of mind for your current customers or your prospective customers? Traditionally, how things adapt is people rush towards the conventional marketing tactics or marketing strategies. And as a result, it gets very noisy and everyone is sort of doing the same exact thing. So how do you sort of identify opportunities to make sure that you sort of rise above the noise? So that's effectively identifying underpriced attention. So what does that actually mean from a marketing perspective? So essentially it means you want to try and identify either content formats or platforms that don't have super saturated competition or noise. And then similarly, identifying those things that have very high value. So for example, I think a really good example here is talking about if you were one of the first YouTubers back in, 2007 or 8, and you were, just because you were there creating content on the platform, and if you did it consistently, you would have that huge audience today. So similarly, take that same sort of, learning and sort of look around at the platforms that you currently leverage, social media platforms or formats, and try to figure out, is there an area that there's not a whole lot of competition, but people are getting a lot of views and engagement from? So from a B2B standpoint, that opportunity here is clearly with videos, but if we sort of want a force multiplier, today that's live streaming. And I think the big thing to take away from this trend today is the fact that, video is obviously the highest engaging format, but when it comes to thought leadership, if your brand is really looking to position themselves, as a thought leader and to have perspective on things, accessibility. So customer accessibility and prospective customer accessibility to those learnings and your brand trumps production value. So no longer are we sort of in this world where we always have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for video and hiring a production team to create some sort of video series or something like that. The costs have gone way down and the barrier to entries are almost non-existent today when it comes to videos and even live streaming. Now, I'm not saying production value isn't important. It certainly is still important, but it's less important today, by factor of, if we take a look at things like LinkedIn, and how readily accessible they've made video and sort of watching different brands and people really scale that engagement in ways that, traditionally would not have been possible. So, at a bare minimum, definitely start doing videos. That's just a bare minimum. Now, if you can really start to build a cadence around there and build a series, now you can begin to incentivize the engagement for your specific audience. They have something to look forward to. It could be an insight series. It sounds like, a lot of the members on here are running podcasts. That's a great way to, really flex the thought leadership muscles and, give people a reason for subscribing. Now, if you're doing videos or you're already doing video series, live streaming is simply a force multiplier. You get all the benefits of the previous things. You can stream just videos, you can stream video series, and you get all of these benefits. Specifically, engagement and real time are just so much tied together. You're able to engage your audience in real time, you get the feedback that's there, and live streaming, just statistically speaking, on the platform with LinkedIn, you're just getting the highest degree of comments, likes, views. So it really is sort of a no-brainer when you think about it, because it doesn't really cost any money. The money is sort of negligible when you think about the investment versus the ROI outcome and what people's sort of opinion of your brand is. The other thing that's really important here is that all of these different social platforms, be it YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, their algorithms prioritize live stream content because the social media platforms are all built around engagement. So they will prioritize creators on the platform that are doing live streams. And in particular, if we think about LinkedIn, actually how the algorithm sort of works is if you go live, it will actually send a push notification out to your audience. Now they've been sort of tweaking the algorithms a little bit, so it's not exactly clear to how many people it touches, but it will touch a significant amount of people if you're streaming directly off of your personal page, and you can also stream off your company page as well. I think before this call started, Gartner actually started doing a stream, and they've already gotten thousands of comments by this point. The other benefit too, just as with any long form content, is you get to repurpose the content. So that will come in many different forms, and I'll touch on that a little bit later in this call. And then the final thing is thought leadership. I think live streaming is probably the best avenue if you're trying to craft out a thought leadership position inside your market space. I think, whether that's presenting it as a company being a thought leader, or better yet, if you can leverage subject matter experts within your organization to create consistent content and leverage live streaming to actually interact with people in real time, there's a huge benefit for that. So just briefly making the business case for it. So essentially the crazy thing is that, only 28% of marketers are really even prioritizing live streaming. Now, this statistic didn't even delineate B2B versus B2C. So in the B2B space, I would imagine it's probably even less. But then when you start looking at the return from an ROI perspective, 73% are seeing positive results when it comes to their ROI. And, from a thought leadership perspective, 89% of people are saying that the perception of the brand was enhanced as a result of doing some of these content efforts. So I think the clear business case is there. So now sort of driving into some practical applications here. So what I wanted to do was sort of give, all of you that are watching an idea of what are the steps that it takes to sort of put one of these things together, a live stream. But I also wanted to sort of talk about how this also can be related if you just want to create videos as well. So both of these sort of topics are sort of intermixed. So whether you want to start doing live streaming or whether you just want to learn how to do video content in a more efficient way, you'll learn both of these things as I sort of rattle through these. So the first thing you'll want to do is identify a streaming platform. And that's going to be contingent, of course, based upon your persona and target audience. So you want to be selective of that. I think LinkedIn, bar none, is the best live streaming opportunity. And I'll go into that in the next slide. But, also for certain industries, Twitter can be a great way to really interact with your customers in real time. YouTube, I would say, is also a good streaming platform. I would say it's like highly saturated. So it could be a good avenue if you're just looking for a place to stream. Let's say you set up some sort of live webinar and you want to get additional views that would fall outside of the audience that is opted in. YouTube might be a good avenue to approach, although it is less targeted than LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, I think, as I'd mentioned, is the best platform. 500 million users, 80% of B2B leads actually come from LinkedIn. And here's the crazy thing, going back to the underpriced attention I was mentioning, there's only 3 million people actually sharing content. So it is, I don't want to say very easy, but it's very accessible to begin to stand out from the crowd if you are leveraging video, and more importantly, if you're leveraging live streaming. Now, the sort of obstacle that you will have to sort of get over is the fact that LinkedIn is still in private release at this point. But that being said, it is pretty accessible to apply for access and get into the program. Now, there are really 3 criteria that LinkedIn is sort of evaluating whether or not to allow you into the program. So it's, have you been creating video content in the past? And what that specifically means is, are you uploading in a native format? You could link YouTube videos, but their algorithms are going to prioritize videos that you natively upload to the platform. So if you have a good history of that, that will play a factor. And if not, I think this is a great incentive to begin creating videos and uploading them natively onto LinkedIn. Second thing, audience size and engagement history. I've seen a lot of people with tens of thousands of followers on LinkedIn, but their engagement is pretty bad. So they're looking for people that actually engage with their audience and the content is relevant to the people that they're adding. And then finally, this sort of goes without saying, but your account has to be within good standing, probably try not to spam people and things of that nature. But, of most of the people that I know that have applied, the vast majority have gotten into the program.
Oh man, you had to say that, Chad, because I have actually tried to get not only myself but a couple of clients in, and we haven't had any luck yet. So yeah, maybe you'll have to give us more tips and tricks for getting in, because I haven't had any luck yet.
Yeah, I would say keep applying for access. To be honest, I don't think they have a great approval process. I think sometimes some of the applications actually get lost. So, I would just suggest keep applying. I had a friend and I told him to apply 3 times, and on the 3rd time he finally got in. So, hopefully LinkedIn sort of fixes some of those issues, but I would imagine probably within the next 6 months to a year, they'll be opening this up for public access. Okay, so the next thing is picking a format. So, based upon your audience and how they consume content and the formats that they're interested in, there are some considerations. So obviously it sounds like, a lot of you guys are already running your own podcasts, which is fantastic. So as I had mentioned, live streaming is a force multiplier. So if you can just go ahead and start live streaming these things, even doing it on Twitter and YouTube is great. You'll pick up additional audience. You'll pick up more engagement. You'll get real-time feedback. It's just a good way to just supercharge the stuff you're already doing. And this goes similarly for events. If you run virtual events or virtual summits, I think it's a great way to get more thought leadership and more engagement outside of the traditional audience that's going to opt in. Companies like Microsoft have been doing this quite recently. So their partner summits that traditionally have just been for Microsoft partners, they're also live streaming some of the sessions, which is, I think, a great strategy. And then similarly, educational. So they say from a video perspective, showing is often better than explaining when it comes to an engagement and a conversion strategy. So if you have insights around certain areas that you can show, or you can bring on subject matter experts and do Q&As, I think it's a great content format. And definitely one that you can take and cut up into additional content later on. Behind the scenes, I haven't seen as much of this from a B2B standpoint, but I think it could be interesting. I know that, I think probably the best example is SpaceX does a lot of these behind the scene type of videos. I don't know necessarily they do a lot of live streams around this area, but it certainly could be an area, depending on how your brand is positioned, to explore. So pre-production checklist, what do you need to make this all happen? So in a nutshell, number one, microphone. If your company is going to be investing in this area, good audio is just like a bare minimum. And there's a lot of great options, starting from the one that I'm using here, Blue Yeti, to Rode microphones. And there's even an Amazon Basics condenser microphone that is actually quite good. So definitely make sure the audio quality is pretty good. It doesn't have to be super great, but just better than using your Apple headset or something like that. Because from a perspective of cutting up content, you can even convert some of these videos into podcasts or audio formats as well. So you want to keep that in mind. The next thing is web camera. I think for the price point, Logitech 92X series is great, records 1080p. It's the one I'm using right now. Pretty negligible investments, around $100. And then the other thing I see a lot of people struggling with when they're doing live streams or video content is lighting. Natural light's always going to be the best, but if you are in an environment where lighting can be an issue, I think ring lights, you can find them on Amazon, are a really great option for getting better lighting. You can also look into diffusers and reflectors if you start getting into the weeds of things, but for all intents and purposes, probably a ring light is going to be sufficient. And then leading up to the event, you definitely want to make sure you are leveraging some sort of promotion on your existing channels. You can create graphics, which I see a lot of people doing on LinkedIn to sort of promote it a couple weeks in advance. You can also leverage LinkedIn events that actually tie into LinkedIn Live. And you can also obviously take more conventional methods like creating opt-in pages and pushing those out through your channels. Live streaming, I think there's also a really unique opportunity to engage people multiple times with call to actions. So you'll want to make sure to devise what is going to be something that's actually engaging for them to go and do while they're actually on the live stream. And of course, what sort of conversion are you trying to get people to do? Is that checking out more information? Is that setting up a call? Just like any other marketing tactic, you'll want to figure out what that conversion path is. How do you capture the audience?
Hey, Chad, I just wanted to emphasize the LinkedIn events. So I did an event with a client a couple of weeks ago, and we used the LinkedIn events to promote our upcoming webinar. And it was nearly 90 people register as a result of promoting out through LinkedIn. So I would just completely emphasize that is an awesome way to do it. And what was great about it was that a lot of the business development team, they were sending the invitation out to their contacts. And that's how we got a lot of the registrations that we got on the event. So highly recommend that method. So even if you're not live casting on LinkedIn, you can still use a LinkedIn event promotion. Anyway, if you guys have comment or questions on how to do that, either Chad or I can help you figure out how to do it.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think they only recently have sort of fixed the LinkedIn events. But I can echo your sentiment. We're able to drive, hundreds of people to some of those events. There are automation methods you can do to sort of maximize the amount of invites you're sending out. And the conversions are typically pretty good because it's a business platform. People sort of expect to see some of these events as long as they're relevant to their industry. So I think it's a great avenue. Whether you're doing LinkedIn Live, as Lisa had mentioned, or if you're just driving people to more conventional live streaming webinar formats. So now we finally get to live stream production. What are the platforms that exist? So essentially, maybe in years past, you would have to do a lot of, customization and setting up certain settings for YouTube to Twitter to LinkedIn. But the great thing today is that there are existing platforms that will effectively allow you to stream from that one platform, and it'll get pushed out to as many platforms as you want. So you could stream to YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook if you wanted to, all at the same time concurrently. And there's a couple of platforms that I would recommend. So the one that I use currently is called StreamYard. I think it's the simplest nuts and bolts one that just works. Easy user interface, not a whole lot of options, but I think it's pretty robust. Now, if you want to sort of begin to up some of the capabilities, I would certainly suggest checking out Restream. They have additional integrations that you can sort of pipe into there, so I think it's a good option. If you want to really not spend any money, there is the open broadcast software. It's an open source solution that still enables you to connect to all of these different streaming platforms. You will have to do a little bit more configuration, but at the end of the day, it's free. Now, if you're really looking to create a sort of almost production level quality live streams, definitely check out Wirecast. It is definitely more expensive, the most expensive out of all these things, but if your organization is looking to heavily invest in live streams, I would certainly suggest checking out Wirecast. So post-production pipeline. So if you've done the live stream, you have the video, you've downloaded it, what do you do with it now? So you obviously want to cut it up. And from a video editing perspective, there's a lot of video on-demand services. So you aren't really forced to go through these media agencies anymore that are going to charge you tens of thousands of dollars. You can, and it likely will be on par with the quality. In my opinion, I think it's a little overpriced. So there's services like Flixation and Fiverr, which I think are really good avenues to go on. You can also use Filmora 9. I think it's probably the most straightforward video editor that's not very complex, and you can get pretty good video production out of it. Adobe Premiere obviously is sort of the gold standard, but it just takes a bit of a learning curve to figure out. Now, if you do use the video editing on-demand services, I think a great strategy is potentially paying sort of a video production company to make templates. And then you just have these on-demand video services, literally just cut up your videos and then put on the intro and outro that you've already paid someone else to do. So that could be a really good strategy to sort of optimize your production pipeline. Now, a really big thing that I think a lot of people often forget is when you scroll through LinkedIn or any other social feed, people are moving through it pretty fast. So a huge thing is captioning. So you want to make sure that your videos have captions on there. I find myself doing it all the time where I'm going through LinkedIn. I see a video I think might be interesting. I don't click on it yet, but I'm reading the captions and I'm finding it interesting, and then I'm engaging. So I totally recommend Rev. Very, very cost effective. It automatically transcribes any video you put up there. I think right now the auto transcription is like 1 cent per minute. So very affordable, makes it super easy to get that all done. And then from a content perspective, I think the really cool thing about captioning or auto transcription is that you're able to actually then take that raw text and, if you have copywriters on your team or marketers that create content, it's very easy to spin that into a blog post or into some other form of text-based content, which I think a lot of people don't recognize sometimes. Also, you can do images with quotes based upon whatever you pull out of the video, obviously recording it or changing it to an audio podcast, and then long form video, short form video as well. So there's a lot of options to take advantage of live streaming and really get the maximum value out of it. And last but not least, tips and tricks. So number one, typically when you're live streaming, you might want to have a secondary device so you can look at the comments that are coming in, feedback. You want to be engaging people in real time because otherwise it sort of defeats the purpose of a live stream, and it will boost your visibility up in the algorithms. Secondly, you want to be engaging. You want to be energized, drink a couple cups of coffee. I see a lot of these streams, even videos, people look like they're half asleep. So that really matters. People want to be engaged with content. Number three goes without saying, you always want to be testing. You want to test to make sure your setup works. I've seen, myself through personal experience, I've gone on live streams and then the live stream fails. So you want to test to make sure that works. You want to test content formats. You want to test how you engage with your audience. And that's a really big focal point. 4, be consistent. Just like any other content format, you want to be consistent. You want to give your audience something to anticipate, to expect, to look forward to. So consistency is key. Number 5, this is a really big one. So if you're already doing podcasts and you're interviewing other thought leaders in the industry, it would be advantageous to have them also promote your live stream as well. You can leverage their audience, and then after, when you cut up all the content, have them reshare those videos to their audience as well. So you got to leverage that multiple times: the live stream itself, the content afterwards, and then their audience. And then number 6 is sort of a hack that I've identified. It's if you're going to be live streaming on LinkedIn, you obviously want to find the audience that is going to resonate the most. So there are some LinkedIn automation softwares out there that can help you add your target audience en masse, although I would highly suggest having some customization when it comes down to the connection message. We've been seeing a lot of success doing that in our space as we target professional services and manufacturing sector. Those are the people that we're adding, and then we're finding those are the people that are engaging with us. And then last but not least, who am I? So, I talked a lot about live streaming. You're probably curious about, okay, well, tell me what the tangible results are. So, over the course of the last 2 years, my organization has been live streaming. We've been pushing out video content. We've been doing podcasting to leverage other subject matter experts. And the tangible results really have come about from bottom line. So we're seeing these sales opportunities where we're being reached out to directly over LinkedIn. Several large companies and mid-market companies have reached out, and it's been a real game changer for us to really craft out that thought leadership position. Additionally, it has opened the door for speaking engagements and partnership opportunities. And then from just an engagement perspective, I've probably driven over 100,000 views, thousands of comments, trending hashtags on LinkedIn. So even if you're just doing video, you can still get these benefits. So I would highly suggest it. So I don't run like a live streaming company whatsoever. I'm actually the head of consulting of Chat Mode. We help mid-market organizations accelerate access to business information with AI-powered solutions. As I had mentioned, we primarily work with manufacturing and professional services organizations. And we're seeing really good line of business operational efficiencies up to 35%. So if you're interested in that, or if you're interested in just asking about live streaming tips or how your organization can leverage that, always happy to answer questions. You can send me an email or add me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for watching, and happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much for being here, Tad. I really appreciate it. Do you have any feeling on getting approval for, you may not know this, but any feeling for getting approval for LinkedIn Live? Is there, like, do you pick would it be better to pick an individual that has the biggest following and has been doing video, or is it better to submit under a business page? Do you know?
Yeah. I've found historically that it's easier to get your personal page approved. We've petitioned to get our business page approved, and then for whatever reason we lost that, and then I had applied again, and then I got my business page reapproved, and then we lost that. So I think there might be a higher, barrier to entry when it comes to the business page. When it comes to criteria, they want to prioritize engagement for their platform, because that enables other people to be engaged. So they will be selecting people that have, larger audiences, which facilitate network effects and, good engagement, right? So if you have a good track record of pushing out videos, if they don't approve you the first time, I would just suggest continuing to reapply.
Okay, that's good advice. Other questions, guys? This is a great opportunity to leverage Chad's expertise. Okay.
Don't have any questions, but I did find this presentation very valuable. Thank you.
Hey, Chad, I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that when using the LinkedIn streaming platform, that they'll do a push notice, and is that just to your followers, or can you actually purchase like an ABM campaign where you purchase, you're targeting titles or vertical markets or specific agencies or companies? Can you purchase those and then have the push notifications go out to those prospects that you're trying to target?
So I don't believe that there are any, currently speaking, any paid ad units to directly influence those push notifications. The push notifications are going to be based off of whichever respective audience that has the live streaming access. So if it's your personal account, the algorithm prioritizes push notifications for that audience. If it's for a business page, it will do the audience that has liked that page in the past. So there's no direct ad units, but what you could do is you could run a LinkedIn ad promoting the live stream, or you could run a LinkedIn ad promoting the LinkedIn event, which I think would be a good substitute at this point. So I think that would be a good route to take, because the LinkedIn event and the LinkedIn Live can be connected on the platform itself.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
This was so valuable, Chad. Thank you so much for making time for this. I know that for those that are here for the live event, they have gotten a lot out of this, and I know that the members that will watch on the recording will definitely get a lot out of this as well. So thank you all for joining today, and thank you so much for your time and expertise, Chad. And as always, gang, feel free to reach out to marketing@msua.org, or if you have questions for Chad following on to this event, feel free to reach out to Chad directly as well. Thanks all. I hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next month.
Thanks, Chad. Bye.
Bye-bye.